My name is Daniel Logan from Denmark. I'm 29 years old and I work as a writer and translator for a Danish online newspaper that writes about the shipping industry. I work in Denmark. I was born and raised in Copenhagen, but right now I live in Rome actually, so that's why I'm doing this on the cell phone. I was born without some of the internal bones in my ears and with sort of semi-deformed ear flaps as well. Since I was 12 years old, I think 12 or 13 years old, I had an abutment above my right ear where I used the Baha hearing aid. And I guess I was one of the first in Denmark, at least one of the first kids to have the operation. I guess I want to talk a little bit about the new Baha 4 hearing aid, primarily compared to the Baha hearing aids historically, but also just like the Baha BP 100. And it's actually a very interesting experience though, because I haven't really thought that much about the way the way the hearing aids are different from each other, because it's something like you wear the hearing aid every day, so you sort of get used to it, and that's the oral reality that you get just becomes that. So it's also funny and interesting to actually think about the specifics about that. I've had the new Baha 4 since mid-January, since January 13th. My reason for asking for a new hearing aid or something that would have more options is that in my capacity as a writer and translator, I often have to speak to people and do interviews over the phone, and that's been the single biggest disadvantage for me has been that I would never be able to do interviews on the phone, because I would have to hold my iPhone next to my right ear because I only have the hearing aid on one side. So I've never been able to write while also speaking to people. Like my rehabilitation therapist in Denmark told me that the new Baha 4 would have Bluetooth built in so that I could connect it via the phone clip to my phone. This sounded okay, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. And first of all, the new hearing aid, like the Baha 4, looks exactly like the Baha BP 100. So okay, so there's probably not a big difference, you think. But the entire experience is completely, the sound is incredibly crisp compared to just the Baha BP 100, which has the best sound so far, which was also close to perfect. But just the new Baha the new Baha 4, you can take the volume up almost to peak levels where the sound is still clear, and you don't get these sort of fringy, whiny sounds every time you move your head. And even though the Baha BP 100 was great, there was still the problem of not really being able to fully turning the volume up, at least for me. I have no idea how it sounds for other people, but I normally want to take the levels of the volume up a little bit so that I can hear people who are not exactly standing right in front of me, but in doing so you risk getting it so that whenever you turn your head you get these lightsaber sounds, vzz, something which you can get used to it in a way, but it's also something that really you shouldn't have to get used to. But then and that was a huge surprise for me, because I was just I figured this would be the same hearing aid, but with the added option of being able to use it as a hand-free set. So that was amazing, really. And just the fact that because I don't know if it's because it's more digital or whatever it is, but it also when you turn the volume up, you can still wear a hoodie or wear a cap, or with my long hair, I've had problems before where my hair would be dense enough to actually obstruct the microphone or something, to create these annoying really uncomfortable sounds, and I just don't get that on the Baha 4. But the phone clip, and I don't even really, I don't know, that's not Baha, I guess that's Cochlear. It works perfectly. The connection is up to a 5, 6, 7, 8 meters. It's a completely clear connection, and it's literally hearing the sound in your head. It's even better than just holding the phone up to your head, of course, but it's also I'm told by people that there can be some kind of nuisances and annoyances when you use a regular phone plug, earplug, and I just don't have that. It's a crystal clear sound that just goes straight into my head. when you have the actual phone clip that you speak into, like I've asked my boss, my editors in Copenhagen, as well as my parents and my friends, none of them have experienced any kind of like problems or anything at all. Like they don't even hear the wind going into the microphone when I'm walking in the street, which is amazing. Though it's perfect. Like the biggest thing beyond being able to actually work better is this whole thing about not having to have the wire that goes up from the phone to my hearing aid. Because I imagine for normal people you have the earplugs thing in your ears, and if you get tangled up, then it's just they just they go out of your ears and that's it. But if you have a string that's actually tied to a hearing aid that's tied to a metal thing that goes into your head, then it becomes like really uncomfortable to be aware of the fact that you could yank the wire out, because then first of all your hearing aid might go into a puddle or a pool or something when you're walking in the street, but you're also like, you can't help thinking about the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable that something is sort of yanking to a metal rod in your head. Which is why I've used my phone for running as a running computer and listening to the radio and books and stuff while running, but I've always been kind of hesitant about it because I've had this fear of accidentally getting tangled up in the wires, or that someone would run by me, or like a car would catch the wire. It would be terrible. But now I'm running 2 or 3 times a week, and I can listen to music and the radio and whatever, and there's nothing. There's nothing to hold me back. There's nothing to think about. There's no wire that I have to tug down under my shirt and be stressed about. And just the small fact, like just listening to the radio at home, just the fact that you can walk around in your house, like it just, the radio stays with you, of course. And these are all, I can imagine, that's the funny thing though, these are all things that people take for granted, like my friends and my family and coworkers and stuff. But it really is like nice, because like when you've been without, then to actually be able to do that's incredible. Like I've tried the microphone, and then I have the phone clip, but I haven't really used the microphone all that much, but I have used it enough to, like, there's a crystal clear connection up to, I think it's 25 or 50 meters. You guys probably know this better than I do, but it works. Like it's a microphone that goes straight through. And I remember when I was in elementary school, we got a big microphone that we could put on the teacher's desk, and then I had to wear this special collar thing around my neck where they would hang sort of a receiver transmitter thing, and then that was tied somehow to my hearing aid. But like this whole logistical nightmare, just in order for my teacher to make sure that I hear whatever she says when I'm not sitting on the front row. With this microphone and the fact that it goes straight into the hearing aid makes it like it would never be a problem to have that and to put it on the teacher's desk or the lecturer's desk or whatever, and just have the straight connection going through. I mean, I can think of so many different ways that can actually be applied, and it would be so applicable for people. But then again, it goes back to this whole thing about being tied directly to the hearing aid, which is like the biggest thing that has happened in the hearing aid since as far back as I can remember. And I'm sure to professionals and specialists and stuff, like there are so many different fascinating new features and things and noises that are cancelled out and stuff like that. But just like the biggest selling point for me was, and it's still the biggest selling point, was just the fact that like you can hear stuff without having this cable tied around your head and tied to your hearing aid. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible. The only thing you guys need to do now is to make a hearing aid that's waterproof, and then you guys are home free. Then I would never ever ask for something else. Like I would never bitch about anything else. But no, but this is great. Take care.